Hello there, honey. Y'all all right? So listen real quick. Full transparency moment. Okay. As I share my life with y'all, my hope is always that it can help somebody or bless somebody, right? But mostly so that you also feel like, oh, wait, I'm not alone. So I had shared with y'all that I had been having problems, with my hip, with what I thought was just sciatica, but uh, turns out I have like hip dysplasia, right? My hip sockets have thinned out on my right side from apparently maybe a dancing injury a couple years ago. Anywho, I have been in so much pain, right? And I had told you I had to have an MRI. Now, in going to get my MRI, here's my truth. Many of you know my story. I was very sick, 2016 to 2017, and I had more MRIs than I can remember. I mean, too many to count on my head, my back, full body, right? But really on my head. And I would go and get all these tests done when I was sick and get no answers. And during that time, I would have very bad panic attacks. And I would be in such a dark place because I knew something was wrong with me, but I couldn't get any answers. And depression was very heavy for me back then. So a couple of weeks ago, I shared with y'all I had to have an MRI. And so when I went in to get the MRI, it is always a trigger for me, right? The thought of getting in the MRI don't bother me, honey, because I can go in there and go to sleep, right? But the thought of, here I go again. Am I going back into the same journey, right? Those are real thoughts that happen. It's a trigger, and I have to check it. And I was like, girl, no, you all right. They're gonna find out what's wrong with this hip because I was getting an MRI not on my head but on my hip. So last week I finally have my follow-up to review my MRI with my doctor, and she can't answer my questions. And the more I'm asking and trying to figure out, like, why is, what is happening with this pain? Like, what are we going to do? And she really didn't have answers for me. It caused me to be triggered, and I ended up having a panic attack. So much so, as I shared with y'all on Friday, I had to have emergency dental surgery. I had a bad panic attack that caused me to clench so much that I fractured my bone. I broke my tooth, my bone up in here. And I had to sit with that for a while. Because I just felt like, oh, I've worked so hard, God, on my healing. And here I am back at this place. And I was frustrated with myself. I was almost ashamed in a moment. Like, Tab, you have worked so hard. You have shared healing. You do so much. You write, you journal, you meditate, you do all these things. And God had to remind me of words I've said to others. Your healing is not permanent. When you're on the journey, you can still be triggered. Things can happen. No matter how much work you do, something can still pull you back into an old territory. But here is the amazing thing that God brought back to me. He said, although you were triggered, there was a time when you were in a place where you would have a panic attack and you would fall apart. You wouldn't even ask questions on how to get through it. He said, but now because you've been working on your healing journey, Tab, while yes, you had this panic attack and now I had damage, which you can see I'm still talking a little weird, but I'm aware. And I'm also healed enough to share. Because I used to hide it before, right? I used to hide it, be shameful, be mad, be angry. But now I'm at a place where I can share with other people that, honey, Tab got triggered from an MRI But then from a doctor who didn't give me answers, just like the old doctors, they used to not be able to give me answers. All of that stuff was stuff that I've been working on for the last 6 years. But even in all the work I've done, I still had a moment. Yeah, here I still am. So I just want to remind somebody and encourage you. It is okay if you have a moment. But in your moment, make sure you are aware and you check yourself and you say, wait a minute, I'm triggered right now. I'm having a moment, but I am very aware of it. And be proud of yourself in that moment, right? Also, don't get down on yourself. Give yourself grace. You are human. You are human, honey. It is all right. Okay? Honey, Tab all right. Honey, I wasn't all right for a couple of days. I was struggling for a couple of days, right? But I came up out of it like, oh, wait a minute. I'm human. I had a real situation happen on top of still working, on top of still mothering and wifing. All of this, I was doing all of these other things. But my person, my body, my mental was affected. And I had to address that. So make sure you're taking time to address yourself. Okay? Make sure you're taking your time to address you when you have a moment. And do not feel bad about it. Be open about it. Be honest about it. All right? But you're going to be all right. We going to be all right. Okay? I'm going today to have acupuncture for this hip. Y'all pray for Tab. As I'm still trying to figure out, best course of action for it. But I know that this is, a physical thing. This right here, this mental, spiritual thing, that's the real work. And we can get, work done, physical work done on the body. But this right here, we got to make sure this is intact at all times, right? This is where we got to make sure we stay checked in on, okay? Very good. I know this was long, but I just wanted to share with somebody else who might be going through. You might be feeling like, I've worked so hard. Why am I back here? Well, you're back here, honey, because you're still human and you're having a moment and you are allowed to have that moment. You're worthy of that. Okay? Very good. I love y'all, honey. I want y'all to have the most amazing day. But even if you can't have a good one, don't you dare go messing up nobody else's here. Very good. And I don't know where that music came from. I don't know where that sound came from. But I guess that's the Lord saying, amen. God bless y'all. Bye.